Hello friends, Stevie B here. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. This is my first video of the year, and honestly, it's been a little while since I put anything out here on YouTube. I figured this was a good time to sit down and talk about what I'm looking at for the year ahead, what kind of content I want to make on this channel moving forward, and just generally what I'm hoping to accomplish in 2026, and also kind of looking back on 2025, which was a pretty crazy year. 2025 was very hectic for me. It was busy, it was stressful at times, but overall, I'm grateful to say that I spent the majority of the year writing music for Sync, which is still going really strong for me. I'm incredibly thankful for those opportunities and for the fact that music licensing continues to be a really solid part of my career. That said, there was a bit of a trade-off. I put a lot of time and energy into writing music last year, and it came at the cost of a few other things. I didn't make nearly as much YouTube content as I wanted to. I didn't produce as many new courses or content for the Academy. I didn't spend as much time developing new products for production music tools. A lot of stuff just took a back seat. One of the biggest things I learned in 2025 is just about time management. And then, of course, things got even more intense because my wife and I welcomed our first child. Our son was born in late September, and the entire year leading up to that was just really beautiful. Watching my wife's pregnancy, seeing her baby bump grow, it was a really special time for us both. And then the big moment arrived, and I really don't think that there's anything in life that can truly prepare you for how powerful and meaningful that experience is. And I feel so lucky to be in a position where I can start a family while also pursuing music as a career. That's not something I take lightly at all. It's been a huge gift, and it's also forced me to kind of really to reassess how I use my time. The reality is I simply don't have the same number of hours in a day that I used to. Babies obviously require a lot of attention. I get a ton of help from my wife, but still, my work days are shorter now. They're much shorter, and I'm okay with that. What it does mean, though, is that I have to make some really tough decisions. Even before we had the baby, I felt like I was being pulled in so many directions. I always had so much on my plate, and I wasn't really managing it as well as I could have. Most of my focus went into writing music, and everything else kind of suffered a little bit because of that. So heading into 2026, I've been thinking a lot about how to best manage this YouTube channel. Last year, I really only put out a small handful of videos, which was kind of disappointing. And now with a baby in my life, it's even harder to justify long form videos that require a lot of editing. Everyone who's watching this and who's made YouTube content knows how time consuming it is. I could hire an editor, I guess, but realistically, I just don't think that this channel is quite at that stage yet. Maybe sometime down the road. So instead, I've been sort of asking myself just a simple question, which is why are people actually here? As you guys know, I've dabbled in a lot of different things on this channel: product reviews, plugin demos, Cubase content. I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy all of it. It's always cool, especially when developers send over their new products and tools for me to check out. And some of them have genuinely become staples in my workflow. And some of I also create a lot of Cubase content for Steinberg's YouTube channel, which I really enjoy doing. They're awesome to work with, and I love their products. So I'll absolutely continue doing that throughout 2026. But between that and everything else, it really doesn't make sense for me to also do Cubase focused content here. And when I really, look at it, I think the overwhelming reason that people are subscribed to this channel is pretty clear. People are here to learn more about music licensing. People are here to learn more about how to write and produce music that actually works in that world, and for understanding how to get into the business in a realistic and sustainable way. So moving forward this year, that's just simply going to be the focus. This year, this channel is going to be entirely about music licensing, getting started, improving your output, understanding the industry, and learning how to write music that has a real chance of landing placements. I'm still going to talk about tools and workflows when they're relevant, but always through the lens of making licensing easier and more efficient. And these videos are not going to be fancy. I'm done trying to overproduce things. I'm going to keep it very manageable. I'm going to keep it honest and consistent based on the time that I have available. So if you're here because you're interested in sync licensing and building a career in that space, you're in the right place. And I really do appreciate you sticking around. And I also want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is AI and its impact on music licensing moving forward. I think that this is an important subject to address in this video. I know a lot of people are genuinely questioning whether it's worth getting into sync anymore, whether it's something that's worth pursuing, given how fast things are changing and how much uncertainty there is around AI. And honestly, I get it. It's a difficult thing to assess because everything is moving so quickly. And when these conversations first started popping up, I was as freaked out as anyone else, and I was seriously questioning what this meant for my work and for the future of what I do. And then we started seeing some, pretty wild things happen, like royalty-free libraries, training models, and data set payouts from Pond 5. And it started to feel like, okay, this is the beginning of the end. It all happened really fast, and it definitely rattled people, myself included. And that all started happening like years ago. And, since then it's been a pretty wild ride. I still see a lot of comments on my videos saying things like we're cooked, or it's like it's over for artists, it's over for producers, for sample pack makers, for beat makers, all of it. And I get where that mindset comes from, but I also think that it's very easy to slip into a kind of fatalism around this stuff. And honestly, I don't think that that's a healthy way to live your life. The way that I look at it is this, sure, there's always a chance that everything falls apart. There's always a chance that the industry changes in a way that makes what we do untenable. But that's kind of true of anything. The world could change overnight for any number of reasons. All I know is that I've put a massive amount of time and effort into building a career in music, and I'm here until the wheels fall off. I'm going to stick around and sail this wind for as long as it's blowing. On the day that it becomes untenable, then I'll adapt, I suppose, like we all have to. But until then, I'm not walking away from something that's working. There was definitely a point early on where I thought to myself, okay, maybe I only have a few years left here. Maybe I need to start thinking about plan B. And if you spend enough time on social media, certainly you'll be fully convinced that everything is about to collapse at any second. And you know what? Maybe that's true. I don't know. But here's the reality. Here's the reality that matters to me. While all of this anxiety around AI has been kind of circling around me, the demand for my music has never been higher. I could barely keep up with the amount of work coming in throughout 2025. So last year I wrote over 100 tracks. I had my best financial year as well. Sync placements kept coming in. Royalties have grown exponentially. So there's this strange juxtaposition happening. Like on one side, you've got everyone preaching doom, and on the other side, you've got publishers that are actively commissioning music and looking for more. That disconnect is interesting to me. And I think that this last year is proof, at least for me, that there is still a very strong demand for genuine, human, original music. Where I do think that things get really interesting is when AI becomes like fully integrated into our digital audio workstations. And I do think that's coming really soon. At some point, people will be generating their samples and beats and ideas within Logic or Cubase or whatever you're using. And I guess we're kind of seeing the start of that with like the Suno Studio, which I've tried, and it's interesting. It's really it's kind of scary, but it's still pretty clunky to use it, to be honest. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And when that happens, I think things will shift again. And I don't know what the future is of like sample companies like Splice, but I figure that it's all just going to get integrated into our DAWs. And the legal side of all that, it's going to be complicated. Or maybe it won't. Maybe the dust will settle pretty soon. We're seeing all that happen in real time, as I speak. But there's also something important to note here that doesn't get talked about that much, and that is that every single publisher that I worked with last year was extremely clear in saying that, do not send anything created by AI, not partially, not inspired by, nothing. It's still toxic in the sync world right now because of the legal ambiguity. No one wants to touch it. And on top of that, something that's really interesting that happened this past year, for the first time, I had publishers explicitly request live players. I had some orchestral briefs where one of the requirements was real string players. They actually paid up front for that. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that maybe AI has actually increased the demand for authenticity. And working with live musicians has become a bigger part of my workflow. And that's been really encouraging. It's been a really interesting development over this last year. It feels like maybe the industry is like pushing back a little bit in certain areas by leaning harder into what makes human-made music valuable. So yeah, a lot of things are happening all at once, and it's hard to predict where this all lands. There was a moment where I genuinely asked myself whether I should still be like encouraging people to get into this business via this YouTube channel. But here's where I've landed. I'm finally seeing very meaningful back-end royalties after years of putting in the work. Performance royalties are growing, placements are compounding. And I still believe that there is plenty of opportunity out there, especially if you're focused on extremely high quality music. The biggest change that I've seen is that the quality bar has just gone way, way up. The market was saturated years ago, and now it's super saturated. So standing out, I think, is harder than ever. And that means that submission packages, matter, and presentation matters. But above all else, the thing that really sets people apart is just the quality of the music. You can send out the perfect email. You can have a beautiful website, a great pitch, but if the music doesn't absolutely stand out, it won't cut through. Library owners and publishers, they hear hundreds of submissions that most of them probably sound roughly the same. What they're listening for is that moment where they go like, damn, this is exceptional. I think that's how you get ahead in music licensing. I think that's how you get noticed. So that's always going to be a main focus of this channel, helping people raise the quality of their productions as high as possible, because no matter how the industry changes, truly great music still has value. And yeah, I think that does it for this rant. I didn't want this to be a super long video. Mostly, I just wanted to set the tone for the next year ahead. And yeah, wishing you all a very happy new year. I hope you're doing well. I hope 2026 is off to a good start for you. As always, I'd really love to hear your thoughts in the comments, whether this resonated with you at all, whether you agree or disagree, or are feeling some of the same uncertainty around where things are headed. Let me know what you're thinking. And if there are specific music licensing topics that you'd like me to cover throughout the year, definitely drop those suggestions below as well. It's super helpful for me. I'd also love to hear what your goals are for 2026, what you're working towards, what you're hoping to improve, or where you want to take your music. Things are changing really fast right now. It's a crazy world. And I know it can feel a bit overwhelming at times. So it's always good to hear from others who are navigating the same space. So thanks so much for tuning in. If you found this useful, I'd really appreciate a like. It really helps out the channel. And feel free to subscribe if you want more content focused on music licensing and sync throughout 2026. Thanks again for being here. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.